Now I don't know about you, but I love it when LEGO remakes sets and minifigures from their past. It's really cool to see how far LEGO have come from a design point of view. However, one thing I have heard over the years is that LEGO are losing something that makes LEGO, well, LEGO. Now let me explain. Now when LEGO started making minifigures in the 1970s, instead of making them look like normal people, LEGO decided to make them little yellow figures. Without focusing on things like weight or skin tone, these figures became iconic, and it now does really fall into what is now called the LEGO style. Fast forward a few years, and with licensing and LEGO themes becoming a thing, all of a sudden LEGO had to adapt other people's designs into this LEGO style. Themes like Harry Potter and Star Wars introduced brand new molds and pieces, specifically designed for these types of sets. And even though these weren't original LEGO characters, they still had that LEGO core feel, keeping things like the yellow skin tone and still trying to keep the LEGO system to some really basic bricks. But as LEGO kept iterating and remaking classic sets, there was always going to be a time that they started updating these kind of pieces. Now for me, there's no better example of this than the Darth Vader we see from some of those classic Star Wars sets. Now the only figure I have of this is the chrome version, but don't worry, the normal version is pretty much the same, but the point I'm making still stands. The classic Vader helmet, if you ask me, was a perfect adaptation between the design we saw from the movies and the LEGO style itself. The proportions weren't exact, no, but it distinctly fell into this LEGO style and was still completely recognizable as Darth Vader's helmet. Fast forward a year, and with LEGO's technology in printing and mold making improving, we got a new version of the Darth Vader helmet. And let's just say this one was a little bit different. The design seemed to aim a lot more for accuracy as opposed to that LEGO style we were all familiar with. Comparing the two, you can see there's a lot more detail on the newer version comparatively to the old one. Not to mention this new helmet came in two pieces as opposed to one, so you can recreate that scene at the end of Return of the Jedi. But despite all of the new details and features, I've seen many people complain about this one more than the older one. Now overall, I think the new design is great, but you can't deny it does lose a little bit of that LEGO charm the old one once had. Maybe it's the proportions looking more accurate to what we see in the films that are just making me feel that this new helmet is a bit off. To me, it unfortunately makes the LEGO minifigure's head just look a bit too big. And unlike other minifigures that I've seen kind of fit more into that LEGO style, this one just seems a bit more out there. And this isn't the first time I've heard this argument about these kind of figures. Take the newest Stormtrooper for example. Even though the mold is technically more accurate to what we see on screen, people always complain about this Stormtrooper, saying it looks too much like the Family Guy helmet because of its weird proportions. If you ask me, one of the classic Stormtrooper helmets is perfect for fitting in with that LEGO style, and I'd just love to see more updated printing on this kind of a figure than have whatever this is. So what do I think needs to be done? Well, I think LEGO needs to hit the reset button and give us a new Darth Vader helmet that incorporates a little bit more of that LEGO stylization into it. And funnily enough, I've got a custom one here that I'd like to show you that I think does this very well. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor, Factor. It's a new year, and what better way to start the new year than eating right? Factor is a service that sends meals to your door every week, eliminating the need for prepping, cooking, and cleaning up. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Skip having to go to the grocery stores and prepping all of that food. Instead, get chef-created, dietitian-approved meals delivered to your door with over 35 meals to choose from every week. And if you want something a bit more gourmet, Factor also offers Gourmet Plus meals as part of your weekly option. So whenever you're craving something special to go alongside that protein, Factor got you covered. Start this year right by heading to the link in the description and going over to Factor and grabbing yourself a box. Thanks again Factor for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. This helmet is made by a company called Input Brick, and you can head over to Firestar Toys right now and pick it up if you're interested. There's a link in the description, and if you ask me, this mold is exactly what I'd ask for when it comes to a newer Darth Vader helmet. It fixes all of the issues that the current helmet has. For starters, it attaches in exactly the same way that the newer one does, so you're still able to recreate that scene. However, the new one doesn't exactly try to match exact proportions to the helmet we see in the film. They've been moved around a bit to give the new helmet a much flatter face. And although it's something you don't really notice from the front, it's definitely something you notice from the side. The flatter face looks like it's taken straight from the classic helmet, making it really feel like an official LEGO piece and fixing whatever the hell's going on here. The eyes and mouth look much closer towards the newer style of helmet, but the cheek pieces have been made so much smaller to make the face proportions look so much nicer. Another thing that makes it look more like the classic helmet is the flatter top, and with the flatter face and the flatter top, it almost mimics what an actual LEGO minifigure head looks like underneath the helmet. And those are just the improvements. Because it's a custom helmet, you can do so much more that LEGO can't do, probably due to a cost reason. Like, not only can you get this helmet, but you can also get a battle damaged version, adding this crack into the helmet so you can see the minifig of Anakin underneath, just like we see at the end of the Obi-Wan show. This makes the figure look so much more menacing, and it makes me wish I had that really bad Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader set that came out, just so I can get this unique Anakin face print with the more fleshy skin tone. But other than that, there's no real negatives about this helmet. The only real major negative I can think of is because this helmet is 3D printed, you can sometimes see some of the layer lines if you look really closely. Obviously, LEGO is injection molded using ABS pellets, so it's going to result in a much cleaner look. And although there are some other custom companies out there that use injection molding techniques, none of the designs for a custom Vader I've seen has looked as good as this one. I'd love to eventually see an injection molded version of this helmet, granted probably at an extra cost, but I think this helmet looks so good that it'd be worth the extra money. I'd also love to see a red lensed version so we can try and match that look a little bit better from episode 3 and 4. But overall, I think this helmet is a step in the right direction. I know it's a subtle difference, but sometimes I think that little subtle difference is the difference between making something look really good or really cursed. It's like they've taken everything that's bad about the current one and improved upon it, but at the same time using cues from the classic to make it feel way more LEGO. Just looking at this helmet on top of the figure makes it feel a lot more to me like a modern interpretation of that classic helmet design. And if you ask me, fits in way better to that LEGO style like we see on other figures from different themes like Batman and Marvel. But the biggest thing that this custom helmet fixes is that awful decision somebody made to have Darth Vader looking up the entire time. I don't know who made that decision, but it looks awful. So LEGO, if you are seeing this, I think it's time once again to hit the reset button and not only remake the Darth Vader helmet, but other helmets we see from the Star Wars theme as well, like the Stormtrooper. I know people have complained about the helmet holes on the Clone Troopers design, but in my opinion, even with this era, these helmets fit in really well with that LEGO style, especially when you look at it compared to these. And don't get me wrong, the helmet design of the Stormtrooper isn't bad. It does seem that LEGO really enjoy using this helmet, as they've used it for a bunch of different helmet variations on Stormtroopers. If I'm honest, I actually like it more than most people do. But I really can see what people are talking about when they say about the whole Family Guy thing. Not to mention, I'm sure people have got armies of this particular Stormtrooper with all of these helmet variations as well, so I don't see these going away anytime soon. But I really would like to see where LEGO would go with it if they were to do it from scratch again. Plus, you never know, maybe a Star Wars CMF is on the cards one day. So on top of things like new lightsabers, new alien designs, droid molds, I would love to see a Darth Vader figure given a brand new helmet. And I'd love it to look just like the one we looked at today. And I know what some of you guys might be saying, this is pretty rich coming from the guy who justifies this being in the LEGO style, but that's just it. The LEGO style is very subjective. Some of you guys think this current helmet might fit in perfectly with that LEGO style, considering LEGO made it. And this helmet defines the style, not take away from it. But for me, this helmet needs a few more tweaks to make it feel like that classic one we once had, but maybe that's nostalgia talking. But what do you guys think? Is this current helmet better than the one we looked at today? Would you guys like a Star Wars CMF, and what new molds would you want to see from it? You let me know in the comment section below. Thanks to everybody that makes this kind of a video possible over on Patreon. And thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video. All of the links will be in the description below if you're interested. YouTube thinks you're going to like this video up here next, so why not give that one a click, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.